Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is October 19, 2025. Howard, are you surprised by the sell-off in many of the momentum stocks last week?
I mean, wasn't that bad, was it?
I mean, it wasn't too bad. Maybe some of them pull back 30, 40%, most of them like 10%. I mean, we can go through them, like for example, like rare earth, MP.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't followed those, but what a
No, I mean 20%.
but it's
Uh,
had a 400% run since July.
yes, based on the overall return, it's nothing. It's a blip,
Hmm.
but it's a pullback.
Hmm.
That's why we keep saying that, when the market sneeze, sometimes those momentum stocks can pull back 20, 40%.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I mean with
the rare earth stuff pulled back. Anything else in the momentum really?
everything,
Yeah, I think that I saw that UAMY that went from like 4 to 20.
yeah. Oh yeah, UMMI. I mean from 20 to what 11, so like 50,
Yeah.
almost 50%. Um But this is not unusual. This is not unusual. It's most of those stocks are parabolic. When it just goes straight up, of course it's going to pull back towards its 20-day or 50-day even.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
think CRML was another one that I was following that had a yeah,
yeah,
still, I mean,
like a 30%. Yeah,
I mean, this is what happens when people just are playing with, they've had good years, hedge funds are farting around. Um, these things, I mean, Jesus, these things have no potential. I just don't think there's anything in these. And the fundamentals just aren't there. And, I just, God bless, people are having fun. But yeah, these you got to have good money management skills. Like I think like Google, like there wasn't really a pullback in the names that matter, Google and Nvidia, I don't think.
yeah. I mean, QQQ obviously just consolidating
Yeah.
literally within what
Yeah.
2% of its all-time highs. So yeah, on a weekly, it's just a consolidation above its basically rising 50-day moving average.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question comes back to, there's a lot of talk of like, in '08 you had all these the banks that were, that were caught with loans, and now you can see the regional banks, people are starting to worry about, you're pulled up here, and you've got a lot of non-bank lending going on. So it's much harder to tell if there's like a crisis in the system, right? Because, there's so much private lending, uh, and it's only getting bigger, right? Because you're not going to the bank for typical, and there's just so much private equity out there. So the question is really, how do you tell what the leverage in the system is? So it's very hard. Like the VIX spiked to almost 30 on Friday, and the Nasdaq's at all-time highs. The S&P is near all-time highs. So there's, I think there's a lot of positioning going on underneath, some of this froth, and there's some money being bet on, you know, some doom out there. But I mean, again, I'm following price. I just look at Google and Goldman and gold, the three G's. These are really what I look to at the end of the day. So, and then you look at Goldman and Google. So my three G's, and um, they look great, you know.
I
So
mean, Goldman not
you're
so much,
covering the
but
whole
yeah.
world there, right? You're covering the debasement hedge trade, you're covering the growth trade with Google and AI trade, and you're covering the financials with Goldman. And and then you got the Qs, which are at all-time highs. So I'm like, there's something for everybody still. And so just some sideways to down
Yeah,
action.
they're just digesting. I mean,
Yeah.
what we have to acknowledge is that the overall daily and weekly ranges, have widened.
Yeah.
And, some of the momentum stocks are typically leading indicators are getting sold off. So these are, definitely some early warning
Yeah.
signs, but that doesn't mean that it's over. I mean, most of the catalysts that are that the market expects are bullish in general. The Fed is expected to cut rates. Um, Russia and Ukraine, might actually, achieve peace within the next month.
Is that
Um,
what you're hearing, or is that?
yeah, that's what I mean, I don't have private information. That's what I
Yeah, I
see on
mean,
social
define
media.
peace, right? Like they said there was going to be peace in the Middle East, and like 2 days later, the ceasefire is broken. So again, I just look at the price action in the market. It's frothy in certain areas where retail is playing, and the institutional side, it looks pretty good. I'd like to come up with the bearish scenario, but prices say otherwise. I think, the big risk here is in the private market still because of the lending. It's hard to see it. Elsewhere, retail margin isn't that high. Um, and is there anything that looks really bad that you've noticed?
I mean, regional banks are the one sector that kind of is looking the worst really out of all of them.
Yeah.
But
Home builders have rolled over.
home
Um,
builders still, I mean, they're kind of related, but still holding above the 200-day moving average. I mean,
okay. I'm trying
making
to think.
lower highs, lower lows here. So
Yeah.
if they break, we could potentially see. And this is with the expectations of lower rates. So obviously the market is worried about other things, not the rates. Maybe, bad lending, maybe employment. But with all the worries about supposedly bad debts in the system, we're seeing mostly positive reaction to banks' earnings so far. Last week we saw Morgan Stanley gapping up, near 52-week highs and kind of holding well for the most part. We saw American Express too on Friday, um,
Wow. Okay, that was pulling back, so that's huge. So
finishing basically near
yeah,
all-time
people,
highs.
Jesus. It just, thinking back American Express in '08, I don't know if you can go back and it was just day after day of punishment,
Yeah, right here. Yeah, it
right? So
was
you
like
saw the
$10.
rollover,
Yeah.
like American Express Capital One. I mean, you had warning, right? '07, beginning of '08. Um, so again, like, what's the point of shorting the market here? I think if you want to look, if people are just talking about crashes and stuff and
I mean,
bubbles.
all we see is
I don't
just
think we're in that. I
rotation.
don't think either is likely. Um,
We're seeing rotations, like even on
yeah.
like last week when supposedly, it was a tough week for momentum stocks, tech stocks were just consolidating. Then we saw some rotation into, healthcare, like, for example, Gilead
Oh,
Sciences,
wow. So give me a monthly on Gilead. What do they do?
it's a pharmaceutical
That's a big
company,
breakout.
but that's a big base. It's a
Um,
10-year base,
Gotta put that on my
trying to
list.
break out. Earnings are in 11 days. And there are quite a few of those in the pharmaceutical space
Wow.
that are kind of setting up.
What is
But
that?
this is a
That's a
defensive sector.
$150 billion company, and that is a massive handle. Okay, so that's on my list.
As I said, this is a defensive sector, and typically when those stocks outperform, the rest of the market kind of struggles. But that's the main
Okay.
point is that money is not really in a rush to leave. It's just rotating, looking
Yeah,
for
so that's
better
that's interesting.
entry points, better opportunities.
And what's this one? Inside pharmaceutical cancer.
Yeah, just
Cancer's
another
always a
one.
growth
There's
industry. What's the
uh,
monthly look like?
here's the monthly.
Okay.
No, Scott. Um, so interesting to see, if crypto finds its footing and because it's been leading to the downside
Well, there's
lately, and
just so many access points. We had no access points, and in the last year we've solved so many. Look at MicroStrategy, right? Like you just got so many ways to buy crypto right now, like in the public market. So I feel like Wall Street did its job, right? They handed you 1,000 entry points of supply right at the wrong time. The good thing about the market is, you know, MicroStrategy's what down 30% from its all-time highs and hasn't even, I mean, there's,
46, 47. Yeah.
yeah, and hasn't dinged the market. Again, Google's so strong. I don't know how to say this. Like in NVIDIA is so strong that, I mean, the question is, could you survive an OpenAI panic where like something went wrong with OpenAI and because they're gonna have to and there's like a freak out about AI and but I mean again then Google just no one loses if it's just Google in AI. So I'm trying to think of like freak out scenarios and really the only one I have is one that's hard to measure because it's the lending in the private markets and no one really has that data.
Yeah, and it will take a long time for that
Yeah.
to
Yeah, because
play
it's more
out.
decentralized. If it was like six banks, it would make me more nervous. And there's 5,000 private lenders all doing, billions
I
of
mean,
dollars.
the other day I watched an interview with Jason, with the CEO of NVIDIA,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying that all of the forecasts that NVIDIA is giving does not include any sales to China, like because they were forced to leave that market. So they
Yeah.
said we went from a 95% market share to zero. So all of their forecasts don't include China. So if there is a deal between
Well, there's
US and
going to be a
China,
deal. I read some news today that Baba has learned to live without Baba. Like they
so if
cut
there is a deal,
over.
NVIDIA has upside, even though it's a $4.5 trillion company. This is something that,
Yeah.
according to him, it's not forecasted. So I don't know if the market is pricing it in.
Yeah. No, I listen. It's hard to not believe the guy. He's been running that company for, obviously he's talking his book, but the guy's delivered for 30 years. So it's not like the internet bubble at all. It's just a question of these valuations are stretched. Lower interest rates have been priced in, I think. I mean, how much better can these companies do in a low interest rate environment? I worry about just, you know, companies producing products and relying on China. But again, I do think Trump will cave um, because I do feel there's stress in the economy. Like if you go to retail or if you go to Vegas and people are getting their entertainment out other places, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there's a lot of pressure in the system because you can't, China's just we're so dependent on them for goods and services, and so we'll see. But there's enough room in tech. It's a tech world. If you're nickel and diming yourselves in retail, you're driving yourself crazy. Um, and the rotation, like you said, is good. Anyways, I don't want to overthink it. There'll be more reveal. I just don't think there's much to read into it, anything this week. And I'll see you at Stocktoberfest this week.
Yeah,
Weather's been great here in San Diego, so
yeah, amazing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, hotter than usual. Yeah,
It's a little warm, but very nice still. All right, so I'll see you in a couple days.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'll
All
see you,
right.
buddy. And then everybody will see you next week.
Yeah, bye.